Hey guys, this is Beth for Beth in Mog 15's Advanced Tap channel. Today I'm just going to be taking a few minutes to sit down and talk to you about choreographing routines for high level exams, especially Advanced 1 and Advanced 2, because it can be tricky, particularly because the task of choreographing for Advanced 1 and 2 is encouraged to fall on the student rather than from the teacher who in your lower exams would have choreographed a sequence of steps or a full dance and just taught it to the rest of your class and you all performed it. They really encourage that you take it upon yourself as a student to choreograph your routine. So from the exterior this task can seem really daunting, especially for people who haven't had the experience of choreographing in the past, but I found it to be really effective to really show off particular skills that you have, such as if you're a great turner or you have awesome wings or you've got natural rhythm and you can just go through timing and you're awesome at that. So, and I really think that your mark for performance is also likely to increase because the sequence that you've created is your own and it's in your own style, so it'll almost be intuitive and automatic when you perform it rather than, probably experienced in the past. You go and do a performance that someone else has choreographed and in the back of your head you're constantly thinking, crap, what comes next, or I've got to keep in mind the kind of style that my teacher wanted me to do this dance in, but those kinds of things you don't have to really worry about when you do something that's your own. So while it is a challenge, it does require a great deal of attention because it's worth quite a significant part of your overall mark. So it's really not one of those things that you can sort of set aside an hour, a couple of weeks before your exam and just drill. For me personally, it actually took a couple of months for me to choreograph my routine, and it was a really progressive collective experience I found. A lot of the time I'd turn on a piece of music just because I felt like having a tap, and I'd just improvise and I'd do a little sequence and go, oh, I really like that, I'm going to keep that, or I'd do something in my open tap class where it's really free to add extra sounds and stuff to steps if you find them easy, so I'd do a bit of that and I'd find a step that I really liked, and that's another thing to add to my bank of steps. And then it wasn't until I really sat down and listened to random CDs that I came across and picked out a piece of music that I also found really inspirational, like I wanted to just get up and dance to that, or I picked also a piece that I was able to easily fit those sequences I already had into them. So it was a really progressive experience. So don't put it down to I have to create my dance now, because you're not going to end up with really high quality stuff, I don't think, personally. But if that's the way that you work, then each to their own, but I personally wouldn't recommend that kind of thing. So I thought for me it was a really fun experience, a really fun exercise, and you can come up with something in the end that you're really proud of because it's something that you've created. So when you do get your exam mark after you finished it and you get your performance mark or you get your mark for your routine, you'll be able to really be proud of that mark because it really does directly reflect you and your ability to choreograph. But if it's not your thing, or if you have a bit of trouble getting started, I'm just going to offer you a little bit of advice and some tips about it. And if you want kind of a visual example, you can check out my video that's called ISTD Advanced 1 Tap Free Routine, and you'll be able to recognize through the advice I'm going to give the kinds of things that I'm talking about in a visual way, because a lot of what I'm talking about now is in my routine itself, so feel free to check that out. But the first piece of advice that I can give isn't actually mine. It's from an examiner who tutored me for a little while, and she kept emphasizing the idea of crossover rhythms, because Advanced 1 is when you really encounter changes of rhythms, when a lot of steps in the exam are familiar, things that you've done to death in the past, but they've changed the rhythm up on purpose to really change your mindset and to get you out of your comfort zone and really make you count. Or if you are somebody who just falls really easily into rhythms, like that was like me, you were really forced to pick up your book and go, now what count does that step start on, because they really want to change that. So if you pick a piece of music that does have really definitive stops and starts, try and move your steps through them to show your ability to use crossover rhythms. I also recommend that you use your space to your advantage. Try not to keep everything under you, because I'm a tap dancer that likes to do lots of little intricate steps. Like, I love close work, but you really need to utilize all of the space that you're in. So, you know, do big steps, do big turning things, because they want to see that as you do more difficult steps, it's very easy to keep them right under you. So really try and expand yourself and stretch yourself and show that true ability to execute those moves in a way that's probably not comfortable for you, or probably not something that will be regularly seen. So really try and, you know, surprise your examiner. And another way that you can do that is pick a piece of music that's a bit left of centre. I mean, I picked a John Mayer song because I just love John Mayer for my routine. You know, so pick a piece of music that's different, because you'll really get your examiner's attention and really get them thinking, okay, this person's really gone to a lot of trouble, or a lot of, they've really put a lot of effort into this routine, because it's such a default thing to pick a blues or a jazz piece, because the rhythms and the style of tap falls so easily into that music. So try and step away from that, but at the same time I'm not telling you to pick a take 40 song, or you know, a top 10 song that's on the radio all the time. So really just try and pick a piece that's a little bit different to what you do, because, you know, your examiner's probably sat through dozens of jazz songs. So yeah, try and pick something that'll make you stand out a little bit. Another piece of advice I can give you is challenge yourself by making steps that don't generally turn into turning steps. And it doesn't have to be the step by itself. It can be part of a sequence that, you know, flows into a turn. But yeah, you're really challenging yourself, and you're showing that you're being creative by doing that, because I try to do that a fair bit in my sequence. And as well, I have to emphasize, because there was a girl that I did my exam with who also choreographed her dance, and it's almost like when she ran out of ideas, or she didn't know a way to get out of something that she's just done, she'd do, you know, a particular riff or a progressive tap, and it was really, really annoying. By the end, she'd done like half a dozen progressive taps, really distinctive progressive taps. So something I can really emphasize is try to stay away from repeating steps. And I know that can be hard to do if you have a particular step that you love. For example, I love ripples. Try and stay away from doing that. But at the same time, try and use sequences of timing that repeat. So if you've got end 8 and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4, use that again in a different spot, but change the steps that go into it, because that really, really highlights to your examiner that you're on top of your rhythm, and that you understand and you have a vast knowledge of particular steps that fit into the same timing. So then that's especially effective if you have a piece of music that is a little bit repetitive, or has a phrase that repeats quite often. You can utilize that, but try not to do steps that repeat. Try using the rhythm signature that repeats. So the last piece of advice that I can give you is try and avoid using tricks. Your examiner probably knows that you can stand on your toes, and probably knows that you can do your wings turning, which is something that you do in Advanced 2 more than Advanced 1, but you know, you can use tricks every so often, and they're really fun, but don't go step, 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 trick, step, 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 trick, because that's not what your rhythm section or your free routine is about. It's not the place to be putting them in every 8 counts. And at the same time, try and stay away from too much stillness. I mean, it can be very effective to miss that random count somewhere and then keep dancing, because, you know, that brings a point of attention, a point of focus to your examiner, or it comes as a surprise, and that's a good thing to do. But don't put them everywhere, because you don't want to get stuck in, you know, you spend, I'm exaggerating, a third of your free routine not actually tapping, and that can be seen as well with tricks or with gestures. So your free routine, the main point is to show that you know, foundation of knowledge, or that build of knowledge that you've got in tap vocabulary. So use that vocabulary as much as you can to come up with a routine that'll get you really good marks. So there you go, that's as much advice I can think of at the moment on creating a free routine for your high levels of ISTD tap. So good luck!